honestly just want to get with my friends and talk about them, their stories, their lives, their challenges, and how they overcame them. I just want to get to know them on a deeper level, and of course we're gonna laugh. I mean, that's what we do. But I want them to feel that someone listened. And that's it. This is the Barr+Friends podcast, where it's my space, your story, 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 your story.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you already know what this is. This is the Bar and Friends podcast. We have a returning guest. He is a man of God, a man of faith. He is a husband. He is a soldier. Man, this brother, I count I count on him to be an accountability partner because this man is an example of just a friend that is faithful, that has your back, that's going to pray for you, that's going to lift you up. And I'm just so glad that I have him in my life, not as a friend, but as a brother. We welcome Jordan, the Jordan, not Michael Jordan, but the Jordan. Back on Bar and Friends. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It goes both ways, man. I'm blessed to have you as a brother too. It's wild. This started because a random dude reached out to me saying, "Hey, I do podcasts with Christian influencers. Do you want to jump on my pod?" And I'm like, "All right." And I had no idea that we're gonna wind up getting this relationship. So I love it, man. It's great. It's great.
No, man, for sure, for sure. I don't even really have any questions because I just feel like I just really just want you to kind of just be like a flow pod where there's just no questions.
Yeah,
It's
man.
gonna just go right off the cuff. But I want to mention a couple of things, and then from there we can just go on rabbit trails like we usually do.
For sure. For sure.
But I want to say that I am excited and proud because it is confirmed. You heard it here on Bar and Friends that my man's going to be going on the road. He's going to be doing a book tour soon. So I am excited
Yes,
about
sir.
that. Tell us more about that, my man.
It's wild. There's a woman at my church who works with the Christian Television Network, and her son is a young man that I've been pouring into. A great kid, love him to death. Um, and so I published my book, Cade Old Jackson Story, this one right there, you know. Um, and she hadn't even read it. Like she still hasn't read it. And all of a sudden I get a message on Facebook one day. Hey Jordan, I had an opportunity for you with your book. Why don't you reach out? So I reach out and she tells me about how she's trying to get 12 Christian authors to go on a book tour all around Iowa with Christian Television Network. So the deal is whatever I sell, it's me. It's mine. Like they don't take any of it. That's all me. I
Okay.
pay them a little bit for marketing, but after that initial payment of marketing, which honestly isn't that much for what they're offering, because I'm going to be doing like a 30-minute interview about the book on there, and that's going to be going around their television network as well as their website and a few other places. So once that drops, I'll send that to you. I'm going to be doing that on November 11th. And then also doing a promo video and also a commercial. They're going to be doing a 30-second commercial promo of Cade, and then they're going to be sending me all over the place. So I'm going to be going to 7 different locations in Iowa. The first one's going to be in Ankeny, um, November 23rd. So not entirely sure where at the moment, but I know that's going to be like a coffee shop or something like that. And then I'm going to be going from there to I'm going to go to Des Moines. No, sorry. Dubuque at one point, Iowa City at another point, Cedar Rapids, Hiawatha. So I'm just going to be ping, 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 ping. Um, Taking January off. So November, December, February, March, April, and May. And I think June, we're just going to be going all over the place. So it's pretty exciting. Also, my wife wrote a children's book called A Gospel Centered Christmas, which is like the birth of Christ, but with gingerbread men, for kids. So she did a really cool thing with that. She's going on tour too. So we're
What?
both doing this, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping I can scrape out my second book, Wolf Jackson, which is in the mix. I'm 390 pages into that. I got about another 80 pages to go. And then I'm going to put it through the editing process and fine tune it and then release that. If I do that, I'm allowed to promote that too while I'm on the book tour. It just won't be marketed, but I can have it on my table to sell at the same time. So pretty cool.
That is so dope. Now wait, I didn't
Yeah.
know the wifey was doing books too. What?
What's that?
I didn't know that the wifey was doing books too. What?
She only did one. She only did
Okay.
one. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I was
yeah,
about to say.
yeah, yeah. Well, it was really cool. So, I have very little brothers. Uh, well, not so little anymore. But my oldest brother, I have half brothers. So my oldest half brother is 16, and then I got a 15-year-old half brother and a 9-year-old half brother. My wife came into the picture when the 9-year-old was an infant. And so, we had a Christmas and she wanted to share the gospel of Christ, the birth of Christ and everything for Christmas with my brothers. Um, I think Jackson was like, I don't know, I want to say 8 or 9, and Miles was still just a little baby. Um, but she was like, man, this is really hard to share with kids. Like, it's just not easy. And they're getting tired and they're getting bored and they want to walk away. She goes, okay, I'm going to make something to where it's easy to share with kids. So she came up with this gospel centered Christmas. She worked really hard on it. All the graphics she did on her computer. I think she did like paint on her computer or something like that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah,
That's
she's creative, dude. I mean, she made this cover. So I
that's
came
dope.
up with the idea and she took the picture and made that. So yeah,
That is what's up, man. No, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I know that you don't like to talk about stuff like this, but man, I I come from a point where I feel bad for you, but I'm also proud of you, and I think this is something that God is making you more into His soldier on. And I'm just like, man, like it sucks, but I understand why you're going through it. For the people that didn't watch the first pod that me and you did, you were talking about a little bit of, some of your health issues and what you were
Yeah.
going on with that, and, how God just showed up in a crazy, miraculous way and making the doctors and everybody laugh. It was, man, it was, yeah, y'all got, if you haven't watched it, y'all pause this pod and go watch that pod. But, I just, I just want you to, to give my followers an update on where you are at as far as health wise, and how we can be able to pray for you, bro, for sure.
Yeah, I made the joke because we did that pod in April, and then in June, last week of June, the kidney stuff flared up again. So I made the joke. The kidney must have heard me. Knew something was up. But nah. So last week of June, I got violently sick. Couldn't eat. I was unable to eat for like 8 days. got severely dehydrated, and I was like, all right, I think I know what this is, but I want to be sure. So I go into the ER. I tell them my history with my kidney, tell them that they found a cyst on the kidney and they're not really sure what to do about it. And so they do whatever they're going to do. They do a CT scan, and apparently this thing is just like on the kidney. It's pretty good size.
Yeah.
So got some fluids in me and everything, got a little bit better for a minute, but I haven't, I've maybe been able to hold down a dozen meals if I'm lucky since the last week of June. Um, and really what that is your kidneys are so essential to purifying your body and getting the toxins out of your blood and everything. So when there's a kidney issue, your body has a visceral response that you can't really control. So because I had gone through this before when I was 14, and because I had gone through it again when I was 15, 14, I knew the nausea, 15, I understood the pain. This time I have both. So I have both the pain and the nausea. The pain I recognized very quickly. I was like, oh, I know you. I remember you. The nausea, that took a minute. I thought I was sick for the first like 3 or 4 days, but I started realizing like, no, this is something. I actually thought that maybe it was spiritual warfare for a second because I'm not going to go too much into this only because discretion reasons. But there was a situation at my church where somebody started manifesting. And so we wound up in the prayer room, me and some other people, we went to war, right? And when I say went to war, I didn't mean like we walk in the room. And all you people that don't know what I mean, it's not like we walk in the room and go, all right, we're going to get you. No, no, no. It's, meeting the person where they're at, walking them through brokenness and helping them get rid of the strongholds that's causing this manifestation of a demon. That one was a powerful one. It was, everyone got hit. Everyone that was in the room got hit like that week. So I was like, maybe it's just spiritual warfare, right? And it might be the spiritual warfare like triggered the physical stuff to go worse. I don't know. But what I do know is uh, 3 of us wound up in the hospital after that week. So, take it as you might. I'm still contending with it. Everybody else is fine, but I'm still contending with it. So for me, I think it was just more like it was a spiritual attack, but it also like triggered a physical attack. And one of my best friends, his name is Jordan Jackson. He's from college. Uh, my brother, I love that dude. He made a comment to me, and he's like, ever since I met you, we known each other for going on 5 years, 5, 6 years. No, longer than that. Shoot, 7 years. Anyway, he made a comment. He's like, the devil really wants to kill you. He really wants you dead. And I've seen it since we first met. He keeps trying to take you out because you are a threat. Don't let him. Don't let him. And I'm like, I know you're trying to encourage me right now, but like,
Right?
yeah. Anyway, so this wound up into like a long journey of trying to figure out what's going on. Like they know it's a cyst, but they wanted to figure out exactly what it was. They said cancer at one point. It's not cancer, praise God. So what is happening is for some reason this kidney just is it's got problems, bro. It's got problems. I don't know why God allowed me to be born with this issue? I don't know. But I do know if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have come to him when I was 20. I probably would have gone overseas and gotten killed in action, or I would have become somebody that I don't even recognize when I look in the mirror. Um, so in a lot of ways, like this thing stole identity from me, but it also gave me identity in Christ, you know? So I'm mad at it, but I can't be too mad at it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, so it's causing a pooling area, which is what assist is. Basically, when people say assist, it means something that they can't explain, like a growth that they can't explain or fluid pocket that they can't explain. But it's not cancer. So if it's a cyst, it's not cancer. If it's not a cyst, it's cancer kind of thing. Like that's how that goes. Um, so this kidney, for whatever reason, is pooling significant amount of urine onto the exterior of the kidney, which is pushing pressure on my kidney and the surrounding organs, um, which causes pain, which causes exhaustion, which causes the nausea, which causes weight loss. I'm down. I was 270, pushing 270.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
it, bro.
I know, bro. I'm 210. I'm 210 right now. And that was the last week of June. I was pushing 270, which for me is heavy. I was heavy. Um, the wild thing is I was trying to lose weight like hard for about 4 months and I couldn't. I was gaining weight and I was eating right. I was trying to work out. I was doing push-ups every morning. Like I was doing the things that I should have been doing, but I could not lose the weight. And a friend of mine made a comment. Her name's Kayla. She's from her church. She said, it's interesting that you couldn't lose any weight. I think God was preparing your body for this. And I was like, I don't like that, but I appreciate it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm the lightest I've been in my adult life right now. So I think the last time I was 210, I might have been 18, but I'm pretty sure I was 17. I'm just a big dude. You know, it doesn't seem this way on here, but like I'm 5'11", but us flowers men, we're built different.
Yeah.
We got dense bones, we got big old heads, and we got barrel chests. Like we're just big dudes. You know, it's the way we're built. I don't know. But yeah, so they're going to be cauterizing the exterior of the kidney, trying to keep function. So it's either they keep the function or they take the kidney. It'd be better for the function to be there because it helps with autoimmune disease and everything else. Um, so we're going to try this route. You know, I told you, I'm affectionately saying they're going to pan sear my kidney and serve it medium rare. So we'll see what happens, you know, and if it doesn't work, they just take the kidney, you know, so this is going to be a long, hard road. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be tough, especially since I do have trauma in that area from the previous surgery. Uh, Doc said I should be able to be on my feet in a month. It's probably going to be 3 to 4, honestly. Just because for one, I'm already getting to the point where I can't really lose much more weight. And number two, like I'm, I'm not an old guy. I'm 30, but when your body's been through the trauma that mine has, it's hard to come back from. So I'm just leaning on the Lord, leaning on His promises. I want to be obedient. That's my biggest thing. I want to be obedient. I want to be faithful in the moments where I don't have hope. because, and I'm going to put this on a t-shirt, by the way. I've been looking into it and trying to figure out how to do t-shirts on Amazons and stuff. But this came to my mind and I've been holding on to it, which is faith is a gift, hope is cultivated, and trust is built. What that means is the faith that we have isn't ours. God gives that to us. We know that in scripture because it even says a spiritual gift is faith, right? That's a gift of the spirit. So that's a gift from God. Hope is something we have to fan into flame. God gives us a glimmer of hope, and we got to make sure that we cultivate that, that we press into that, and that we see the light at the end of the tunnel. And trust is something that we start building on top of that hope. My trust is about shot. My hope is about gun. But just like Peter, I will be sifted like wheat, but my faith will hold true.
Mm.
So that's where I'm at. It's a hard place to be.
I actually had that question when we were talking through text. I didn't text you this question, but I was thinking like, man, Lord, like, why? And of course, the Lord is all knowing and He has a reason for this. But it's like, man, you have a man that loves you, that loves your church, a warrior in the faith, but you're giving him challenge after challenge, difficulty after difficulty. Like, you can't just give this man a break. Like, there has to be some reason
Yeah,
to this. And I mean, we
yeah,
know, I mean, we're both believers
yeah,
and we know,
yeah,
but it gets to a point where it's like, yo, man, like, why? Why? I know you're going to use my story for your glory. I know
yeah,
you're going to turn my mess into a message and, all these Christian cliches, but it's like, Lord, I am literally in hell.
yeah,
Like, for real. For real. And so it's like, and then also this too, Jordan, I mean, God bless her heart, but it's like you also have a wife,
yeah, yeah,
and God bless her soul for being a soldier too, because I can only
yeah.
imagine that this is, yeah, yeah. How does your wife feel about? I mean, I know you can't speak for her, but how does your
Oh,
wife feel about this?
she doesn't know what to do, honestly. She's kind of beside herself. She's just doing the best that she can as being there for me. And she's rocking it. That's the one thing that I will say is my wife is it's her birthday today, by the way. She's 32 today.
What?
So
That's
we'll
so
be
cool.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so we'll be spending some good quality time tonight and eating some pizza, having some pie, good times. But she's a rock star when it comes to this. Like she doesn't know, she's never been through something like this, so she's not really sure how to handle it. But her love for me is what's making her show up the way that she is. She's found me passed out on the floor from pain 3 times. Woke me up because I down. And she's a tiny little woman. She's 5'3" and a quarter, 125 maybe. So she ain't picking me up, dude. Yeah, she ain't picking me up.
Yeah.
But she's found me on the floor 3 times, you know. Um, so I've been having to take better care of myself for her,
Right.
which is hard for me. Like I didn't realize how hard it was for me to take care of myself. Like to slow down, to just sit for a little bit. Like when I'm feeling that pain and that, just even sitting on, like I've sat on the floor more often in the last how many months, 4 or 5 months, than I have in years because it hits. I get pain, I get a little dizzy. I go, okay, I'm gonna sit. I sit down and I just kind of breathe and I rest. And I was frustrated with it up until about a week ago. I don't know what changed in my mind, but I'm sitting there and I'm angry. I'm angry, right? I'm just like, oh, you stupid body. Why don't you just, you realize we're in this together, right? You realize this is you can't escape me and I can't escape you. So you fall in line and you get going. But I'm sitting there and I'm angry and I'm frustrated. And I just had the thought, you've been wondering how to rest. You're weary and you're tired. And in these moments, you're not alone.
Mm.
So God's healing me in this because there's things from 15 years ago that broke in me that never got fixed. There is trauma bonds from 15 years ago that I thought I was done with. No, they're coming full circle. And I'm seeing them and I'm seeing the one in particular. So, that's about 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm at Wednesday night church and I'm talking to a good buddy of mine and we're just chilling outside and chit chatting. All of a sudden, like, I start getting cold. Now, here's the thing about me. I don't get cold. Like, unless it's like below zero, I'm fine. Like, I ain't getting cold. That's just,
Right.
I don't get cold. I start shivering, and all of a sudden the pain intensifies to the point where my vision starts going whoop, 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 whoop. And I go, I gotta get home. So I just about face and get in the car and start driving. I live a good 30 minutes away from where I was. 30, 45 minutes. So I'm driving and he's worried about me because he's also a law enforcement officer. So he's like, he sees it. He's like, something's wrong with Jordan. Like, what's going on? So I'm like, voice record messaging him like, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm sorry I left like that. I am mad at you. I gotta go. I gotta get home like right now because it's gonna get bad.
Mhm.
And then when I got home, I couldn't get warm. I was like freezing. I was frigid. I was shaking. And then I remembered when I was 15, I was still on the football team, even with my pain. I just couldn't pad up or anything. But I would do whatever I could. So I grew up in Newport, Oregon, right on the coast, and 75% of the year is rain. And then 10% it's just wind. And then you might get a 15% of sun, maybe if you're lucky. But the rest of the time it's just overcast and rain, overcast and rain. And so it's a Friday night. I'm sitting there, I'm holding the first down post and um the first down marker, and it's raining, it's pouring. I got a sweatshirt on, I got a long sleeve under the sweatshirt, I got a jersey over the sweatshirt, I'm wearing long pants, I'm wearing everything I should. But I'm holding this thing and I start shaking. I start trembling and I can't stop. And like the pain is just getting higher and higher and higher and higher. And we get to halftime and I look over at the ref. I said, I was on the other side of the field. I said, can you tell my coach that? He goes, what? I was like, I'm got medical problems. Tell him that my pain is out of control. I gotta go. So he goes over and he talks to coach, and I see my coach on the other side. He goes like this, and I'm just like, he goes like, "Oh, get out of here," kind of thing. And it was very dismissive, and it felt very like. So somebody else takes the post, and at this time I lived like a block and a half away from the school, and so I'm walking, and it's the longest block and a half of my life, the longest, because it's just every step is agony. Some friends came down from the stands. They saw me and they walked with me most of the way, and then I walked the rest of the way myself. But I remember that time, and I was like, shoot, I did what I did before. I isolated. I instead of allowing people to love on me and be there for me, I tried to hide what was happening, and I ran from it, which is what we men are trained to do, right? Stuff it down, don't show, be tough, da da da. Listen, dude, I've had 2 discs replaced in my neck. I've had multiple concussions. I've had bulging discs in my back. I've stabbed myself with a knife in my thumb. I've done some stupid stuff. I would go through all of that again if it meant I never had to have any kind of kidney pain. Okay? Kidney pain is the worst pain you can have. Even the doctors, and I'm just saying this is what the doctors said, not what I said, what the doctor said. Kidney pain is worse than childbirth. It's that level of pain. He said if you're really going through kidney disease and kidney pressure and kidney dysfunction, it is more pain than childbirth. Now, I ain't a woman. I can't give birth. I don't know if that's 100% factual or not. But what I do know is this is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Every time I've had kidney stuff, it's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. I'm a tough dude. My last name's Flowers. I had to be tough. I had to be, bro. It was, I was a small kid too. Like, I didn't get big until I was like 16, 17, well, maybe 15. But I was a small kid. Dude side was fun to pick on me. They realized that wasn't so much fun anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I, I had to grow up tough. Um, I'm not tougher than this. I'm not. So to have that humility to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm not okay. I know you can't fix the physical pain, but can you just help me walk through this mental and emotional stuff right now, and get me out of this? Because the pain is bad, the physical pain is bad, but the mental and emotional is what's going to kill me. And I can't let that happen. And so I wound up reaching out to the dude that was worried about me, and also another friend of mine from the church. And I was like, hey, this is the trauma trigger that just happened. I'm going to tell you the whole story, and I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm done hiding. I'm done running. I'm done pretending like I'm okay, because I'm not. But I'm not defeated yet. And how many men need to say that? Really? How many men today need to say that? Dudes that are busting their hump, going to 9 to 5, maybe even more, working overtime, trying to put food on the table, and this economy makes it even worse, let's be honest. And you can't support a family off one person having a full-time job anymore. You just can't do it. It's not a thing. It's a thing in the past, right? So then you've got crazy dudes like you and me that try to make our own businesses, and we watch as we go, oh man, get some traction. And you know what, 10 years ago, if you and I were doing what we're doing now 10 years ago, we'd be making bank. Right now, we're like, this is hard, you know? But at
Yes,
the
sir.
same time, like, men have this.
Mm-hmm.
We as men, and it's a societal thing, but I think it's also just a genetic coding thing. We struggle with saying, I'm not okay. Like you were talking to the woman, her name PJ, right? And she was talking about the dude sitting there at that pier with his coffee in hand, watching out the window, waiting for somebody to go up to the ledge like they're gonna jump. You send me that link, by the way, when you get that, because I gotta listen to that. And what does he do? He goes out there and he talks him down. And
Yes.
all I could think was a watchman for the brokenhearted. I think we as a body need to start being watchmen for the brokenhearted.
Ooh.
So that we can meet those men that are at that cliff and going, I am doing everything I can, but I'm still drowning. And we go, but you're not defeated. You're not defeated. Only when you admit defeat and you jump off that ledge are you defeated, but you are not done yet. Blow that horn. Blow that trumpet. We will come to you sword in hand, trowel in the other, and we will help you build that wall, and we will beat down that enemy. We will do whatever we can, and you can sit there and breathe. Sit there and breathe. Just for a moment. You can get back in the fight after you take a breath, but you breathe.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
not perfect, dude. I have my bad nights. I have my anger nights. I have my depression moments. I about gave up on myself there for a little bit. Um, and it's hard. It's hard to get up off the floor. You know, it's not easy. I make a lot of mistakes in my frustration and my depression and my anger. You know, but even in my chaos, he is faithful.
Mm.
You know that song Waymaker, it says Waymaker, spiritual worker, promise keeper, miracle worker, promise keeper, light
Yes.
in the darkness. Whenever I sing that song, I switch up the lyrics, even at church. Like they will say light in the darkness.
Mm.
I say light in my darkness every time. Because my God, that is who you are.
Woo. Wow. A thought just came to me as you were talking, Jordan. Like, and I've always been a person that believed this, that maybe the Lord is, I don't want to say the Lord has put this upon you, but maybe the reason why the Lord has you going through this is maybe it is to humble you. Because what if you didn't have this at all? You know what I mean? Like, that's something, I believe that there is something in all of us. Like a disability, like a spiritual disability, where it's like, oh no, like I have to stay on my knees because this right here is a life or death situation. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like maybe the Lord, in His grace and His mercy, allowed this to happen because just to prove that He's going to get the glory in all of this, but to also humble and to mature you.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, just something to think about. But
Oh, dude, trust me. I've been, that is what I've been chewing on. And, it's funny. I don't blame myself for
Mhm.
what's going on. Like, we're part of the fallen world. Like, it isn't because I'm sinful that I'm being punished. You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
it's not like that. People get to that point. They're like, oh, you're just being sinful, so you're being punished. And I'm not saying you were saying that. I'm just saying some people do. And
right.
it's like, that's a arrogant way of thinking.
It really is.
Because now you're saying your sin gets to dictate God's actions. Who are you?
Right.
Who are you? What are you talking about? Your sin gets to dictate God's actions? No. No.
No.
Moron.
No, sir.
That's not how this works. It's
Yeah.
God allows things because we're in a fallen world. Plain and simple. Now, I'm not the reason why the world fell, but I played my part in it. I've sinned. I sin almost every day. Not that's forgiveness every day. Every day. Like I said, I ain't perfect. At, Jordan at his core is an idiot. Okay? Jordan by himself is a dummy. A dummy that makes dumb decisions over and over and over again. Jordan with Jesus is someone that I actually want to be. Someone that I actually aspire to be. Someone that I respect.
Yeah.
I don't respect me without God. Period. So when it comes to that mentality of like going through this because I'm just in a fallen world, and that's kind of how it goes. God will use a situation. He will take what was meant for evil and use it for his good. You
Mm.
know, they don't know why it took 15 years for this thing to rear its ugly head again. They don't know why. They don't know why it didn't work the first time. They don't know why I was born with 2 years. They don't know why any of this. I'm done asking why. I'm done asking why.
Mm.
I'm starting to ask what and where. What do you want for me in this? What do you want to break off of me in this? What do you want to use for your glory in this? And where are you going to send me after?
A whole sermon. Whole sermon. Wow.
Can't help it, I'm a pastor, bro. You know that.
This is good. This is good. I
It's just, what else is there? What else is there? What's the point of this? What is the point of suffering if you don't suffer well? What's the point? I didn't suffer well last time. I didn't suffer well 15 years ago, and now I'm having to face this again. I wonder why. I can wonder, but I ain't gonna ask. You know, I can wonder, but I ain't gonna ask why because
yeah.
I don't want to waste my time asking why. I have very little energy in me every day because I can't eat. I'm in pain. I'm tired. I'm doing DoorDash at night trying to get ends to meet because there's a good chance that I'll pay for the surgery and everything else. I'm tired. I don't have the energy to ask why. So what do I have energy for?
You done preached me to shouting. But it's good. But yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah. What to wear? Yeah, 'cause I mean, I think Jay that we do ask the Lord why so much. Why? Just say.
We're like 5-year-olds.
We really are. I actually want to. Because I know you have an opinion on this, and I couldn't wait to actually pod with you today because we are pretty much in the thick of it. Um,
Yeah.
and listen, we can go for hours on this because I know you definitely have an opinion on this topic here. And I want to preface this because I don't want to make the Saints get angry. I don't want. Well, I know you love getting Saints angry, but that's your forte. But uh, I really want to
Expertise.
talk to you about this one because this is good, and we can definitely tag team with this.
Yeah.
This political run, Trump Harris. I I'm gonna throw you this football, and I just want you just to make a touchdown with this. So I'm gonna set up like this because I know oof that you have your opinion on this. So I was driving last Wednesday, yeah, last Wednesday, because I live upstate, and I see that there were these signs. I saw signs for, you know, different sides for Trump and for Harris, right? And I really felt the anointing when this thought came to me. And here's where I want you to kind of just take the football and go right into the touchdown and make this touchdown. If we were so on fire for Jesus, mm, if we were so on fire for Jesus, like we are for who we're repping for in this election, this world would be on a revival streak. Because Jay, I understand. I understand that we want to have a president and we're trying to, you know, make the best option. But see, here's the thing though, it's like it's, it's like us. It's like us Christians. We are sinners by default. And so are they. It doesn't really matter the party that you choose because both parties are imperfect people. You know what I mean? And so here's my question for you, and you can go ahead and take the mic. How should our conduct be? Because this political debate or this political situation that we're in is going to break up families, it's going to break up churches. Like, honestly, I don't my personal take is I don't really care who you vote for. I just can we just love Jesus? Can we just come together and worship his name? Can we just cuz we are already different, Jordan. We're already
Mhm.
different at the core. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so what you voted for Harris, or so what you voted for Trump. Okay, but that's not going to change my relationship that I have with you personally. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so my
Yeah.
question to you, Jay, is Some people voting for Trump, some are voting for Harris, and it's gotten crazy. It's it's gotten crazy to the point where I try not to even have these conversations with people because people go crazy. But
Yeah.
to make this point get a little closer to home, I actually had a conversation with someone about who they're voting for, and I started off with this thought or with this message. Listen, I already know what you're going to say. I'm going to tell you who I'm going for, but I already know. I said, hey, listen, you're probably going to go for this other individual. That's cool. That's fine. I'm just having a conversation with you. I'm not trying to have a debate. I'm not trying to have an argument. Just promise me that we're going to be friends after this, though. Because
Mhm.
honestly, you share with me how you feel, and I'm going to maybe disagree, and you may disagree, but that shouldn't take away our friendship, our unity. So I told this person who I was going for, and they went right in. Oh my gosh, you're going for that person. Oh my gosh, how dare you? Oh, you're racist. You're this. You're that. They are so for the evangelicals. And I'm like, whoa. Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa, you racist?
Right, yes. And I'm like, no. I'm far from that. I am far from that. And so I said, see, this is my point. You want to know who I was going to go for, and then you give me all this. And it's cool. It's fine. But I'm just like, bro, like, so Jordan, I want to know, I want to know your thoughts about, I want to know your thoughts about Christians as far as just from a political stance, and how should we
Mhm.
conduct love towards our brother and our sister, even though they may not even go for who we're going for, but still to have, unity as far as brothers and sisters. So yeah, go ahead.
Anything that we do, we should base off of the Word of God. You know, everything we do, we must base off the Word of God, plain and simple. Um, to You tell me in here where God created a white man, then he created a black man, then he created a Mexican, then he created an Asian, then he created a you tell me where that was in there. You show me that. And you tell me that we are a separate race from each other. Go ahead. Try. Try. You ain't gonna find it. You know why? Because we're one race, a human race. Now, do we have different ethnicities? Sure, that's fine. You have a different culture than I do. You probably, and I don't even know, but I know you talk about, some barbecues sometimes. You probably have some good barbecues. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
And I know if I come to the barbecue, I'm bringing some potato salad or I'm bringing something that I cooked myself. Maybe it's beans or chili or whatever. And we're going to cut up and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be great food. Why? Because it ain't about the cultural differences. It's about just being in a relationship and fellowship with each other, right? What better way is there than to share a meal? All through the Gospels and through the book of Acts and Luke, we see the apostles and Jesus share meals together. Why? Because that is a special thing to do. When you come to church, you're supposed to share a meal. I'm talking a physical meal.
No.
I'm talking a spiritual meal.
Yes, sir.
Give us today our daily bread, right? You come to church to get fed, or you come to church to, oh, my feelings. Oh, oh, my feelings. No, shut up. Go home. Like nobody wants you here. You know, like, but at the same time, like I say that jokingly. Obviously, we want them there, but at the same time,
Mm.
like, there's two different avenues I go with this. One, if the person is genuinely just concerned for the nation, concerned for the country, concerned for these things, and they're just angry with what's going on, I understand that. There's political unrest, I get it. You
Mhm.
know, and to just meet them where they're at, say like, hey, listen, I love you regardless of who you vote for. And I mean, you know enough about me. Um, Even if I didn't vote for the same person 2 times in a row, that would do it for me. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You get shot and you stand up and just pump your fist in the air. I'm voting for you. That's my flesh side coming out. But if you talk about what's that?
No, no, no. No, I hear you. I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. You know, but that's the thing. Like flesh side says I'm voting for that, but then I go, okay, what's the spiritual side of that? Okay, well, I'm voting for a good shepherd. I'm voting for someone who will protect this nation. I'm voting for someone who will try to make sure that everybody's taken care of. Why am I voting for that? Not because I think he's God.
Right. Right.
Trump ain't God. Kamala Harris ain't God. You know, there's only one God. Plain and simple. There's only one God. Why are we acting like we're voting on who's going to be God? You know, and to have that conversation and say, hey, listen, at the end of the day, we ain't voting for who's going to be God. We're voting who's going to be the ruler of this country. That guess what? Every nation in this has fallen. Every nation in here has fallen. Why? Because it promises that the nations of man will fall, and there is only one kingdom that's going to stand, and that is the kingdom of God. Maybe it's our time. I hope it's not. But at the same time, strap up your boots, put on your spiritual armor, and get to work. Plain and simple, you know? And shepherd those that need shepherding, comfort those who need comforting. Now that's the one side, right? The
Mhm.
second side, if you're coming into my flock to cause any kind of unrest, if you're coming in to cause any kind of issues because you want to stir the pot and you think that this is the way to do it and you commanding the pastor to preach more political from the pulpit, listen, the only thing I want my pastor preaching is whatever God lays on his heart. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If God lays it on his heart to preach politically, great. If God lays it on his heart to preach biblically or topically, cool. Do I trust my pastor's faith? If I don't trust my pastor's faith, then why am I in his flock? And
Mm.
you don't like it. There's plenty of other churches. We're all the same body. There's just different parts of the body. This church might be a hand. This church might be a foot. This church might be I don't know, a third rib. I don't know. But go find where you belong in the body. Plain and simple. You come in here trying to cause civil unrest, you're not going to have a problem. Plain and simple. Why? Because it ain't about you. It's not about you. It's not about your political stance. It's not even about my political stance. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to sit there and tell you about who I'm voting for, why I'm voting for, unless you have a conversation with me about it. Even if you have a conversation with me about it, if you have a conversation just to get mad at me for who I'm voting for, there's the door. There's the door. I ain't about that. And you know what I have to say to people like that? If they start getting in that, who are you voting for? And they're getting all like agitated and stuff, I'd be like, you know what the beauty about voting at the booth is? There's a curtain. It's a small little area, and no one gets to see who you're voting for.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Hmm.
going back to what you said in
Hmm.
the Bible about how you mentioned that every kingdom in the Bible has fallen, right?
Hmm.
It kind of reminds me of a Bible story. Think about it being First or Second Samuel, somewhere in the Old Testament, where they were trying to have a king. Like, we want a king. We want a king. And the Lord's like, okay,
First Samuel.
bet. Bet.
Yeah.
Y'all want a king? Sure. I'll give you I'll give you Saul. Not a problem. No problem. Sure. Because y'all think that y'all know better than me, so sure. I'll give y'all somebody. And then he ended up, I'm sorry, Saul, but he ended up getting jacked up in the process. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
you know, we, when it comes down to it, we have no idea who we're voting for or what we're doing. That's why we see, and that is the whole purpose on why I became a Christian, Jordan, is because honestly, I ain't got it together. Or I might put on a facade that I have it together, but on the inside, like you mentioned earlier, man, we sin every day. And even on our good days, when we think that we've got up at 5:30 in the morning to open up our Bible and to have a conversation with the Lord, and we didn't cuss out our significant other, or even on those days, we still fall short. So, man, I like you said earlier, I just want to be obedient. I want to be Holy Spirit led. And honestly, it doesn't matter who's in office, because, and of course, I will respect and I will pray for whoever is in office, but I answer to Jesus. Not to sound corny, not to sound
Yeah.
religious, but, Jesus will forever be my president, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's honestly like our forefathers in this nation said one nation under God.
Mm.
Why did they say that? Because we were the only nation that didn't have a king. Our king was God. That was the intention. And we messed it up. We have become like Israel, where we are calling for a king, and we got all these people that are calling for the wrong king.
Mm.
I ain't calling for a king. I'm calling for a shepherd, because I only have one king, but there's a lot of sheep that need a shepherd in this country. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. People that say, I'm just not going to vote because I don't agree with either candidate, that's fine. That's your right. Don't complain to me when stuff goes off the rails. Don't complain to me when you don't like what's happening, because you had the option and you chose not to. That's, to me, that's one of those, like if you're on a sports team, like let's
Mm-hmm.
say you're on football, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And your team is down at halftime by 4 touchdowns. You're one of the star athletes. Maybe you're the quarterback or the running back, and you go, you know what? This game is over. I'm just going to sit on the bench. You guys play the last half yourself, and the team either loses or they win the game. Guess what? Dude that sat on the bench for the last half, you don't get to celebrate if we win, and you don't get to moan and complain if we lose. You stepped out. not us.
Mm, I like that. Well, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, we have a freedom that people don't have in the rest of the world. Did you realize how important it is that we get to vote for who our leader is? That's almost unheard of in other countries. You know, the fact that we have that right, we should exercise it and we should use it with wisdom and discernment, plain and simple. If someone tells me I'm just not going to vote because I don't like either candidate, you know what that tells me? I refuse to use wisdom and discernment. I refuse to trust God has this despite whoever gets office. I refuse to trust that God said he will appoint leaders for a purpose. Honestly, people that say they're not going to vote anger me more than the ones who say they're going to vote for the opposing person to who I'm voting for. If you vote for the opposing person, okay, whatever. Like, you ain't gonna sway me. I made up my mind. If you want to talk about it and you want to ask me questions as to why I'm voting for that person, sure, I'll tell you that. But you ain't gonna sway me. That doesn't that ain't that
Right.
kind of conversation. But if you come to me and say, "Yeah, I'm just not gonna vote," okay,
Exactly.
now I'm frustrated with you.
No, exactly. And the only reason why people ask that is because let's be real. I'm checking your motives, and your motives is trying to get me to side with you. Like you said,
Hmm.
I already made up my mind. You know, I
Hmm.
mean, if you want to, talk about, the reasons why I voted that way, sure. But your motive, your one pure motive was to get me to kind of see your side. And that's cool. I can definitely
Hmm.
see your side. Sure. Not a problem. But I voted for who I voted for. You voted for who you voted. That's it. Okay. Now let's talk about kingdom. Because honestly,
Yeah.
this world is going to fade away. It's going to pass away. The kingdom
Oh
of
yeah.
God is going to be forever. So let's talk about building the kingdom. If we want to come
Hmm.
together, me being black, you being white, how can we be able to love one another better? How can we be able to,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, do things for the
Yeah.
kingdom? Sure. I'm all
Mhm.
about that. You know what I mean? So
Well,
yeah.
I mean, not to say that I'm colorblind or anything like that, but to be honest, I think Morgan Freeman had it right when he said we just need to stop talking about it. We just need to stop talking about the race thing. Just stop talking about it. Why? Because like, what does it matter? You know? I mean, you look more like me than most of my white buds. You're bald, you got a beard, you know?
Right,
You're a
right,
big
right,
dude. We look more alike, you know? Well, where are we going with this? You know, but that's something that I think when you said we need to get back to kingdom, absolutely. We just need to get back to loving people and realizing and recognizing the fact that God made us to be the body. It don't matter what color you are. It don't matter what background you have. You are called to be the body. The body has to work together. Speaking from somebody that has a body that does not work correctly, it is detrimental if you don't allow the body to work correctly. It is detrimental if you don't focus on why we're here.
Mm, mm.
It says go and make disciples in nations, not go and berate your neighbor about your opinion. Here's the thing about opinions. Everyone has one, and that's fine. Unless I ask you about yours, keep it to yourself.
Yep.
Why? Because at the end of the day, why are you trying to shove this opinion down my throat? Is it because you want me to see something more clearly? Are you correcting me on something? or are you just wanting to convince me of something? Which one is it? Check your motives, check your heart. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I have to check that mentality too, because that mentality of like keep your opinions to yourself. What if someone's opinion is actually something that I need to hear?
Mm.
So that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing. But that's where wisdom and discernment comes into play. That's where grace and mercy comes into play. That's where understanding that we're understanding that we're all equally made. There is no one that is higher or lower in the eyes of God. And to treat someone like they're less than you because they have a differing opinion is just foolish. And it's unwise. And it's disrespectful. Not just to them, but also to yourself. Because in a way, you're disrespecting your own spiritual body. You're disrespecting the kingdom, which in turn means you're disrespecting God.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that for sure. Well, Jordan, like I always do, had a great time chopping it up with you. Um, any final thoughts as we land this plane on the pod today? Any last thoughts? Anything that you want to encourage the people with?
That last one messed you up a little bit, didn't it? I can see it on you.
I'm
Now
I'm
you're in your
still
head a little bit.
yeah, I'm still I'm like, whoa, wow.
I get it, bro. I get it. I mean, I had to come to the same thing. Like, if I'm being honest, like, listen, I call myself an idiot freely. You think I don't call other people idiots in my mind freely? Of course I do. You know, I'm judgmental just like everybody else. I'm one of those people that, like, I'm like, you're a moron and you're just not smart. I'm going to move on when it comes to certain things. I've had to check that in myself, right? And it's like, all right, are they a moron or are they just listening to stupid reasoning? Are they
Right.
listening to false ideologies? Are they listening to false realities? And then check that. You know, it's not easy to go and make disciples. You want to go and make disciples in the nations, you have to be willing to meet the people where they're at. Paul
Mm,
went to Ephesus and was there for 2 years building tents, preaching every day in the lecture hall in a place that was dedicated to a Greek goddess, the Greek goddess Athena. 2 years he spent in that place where men were looked down on and women were heightened in that area. He allowed himself to be humbled so he can meet people where they were at, just like Jesus allowed himself to be humbled to meet everyone else where they were at. He didn't go to the wisest and the most religious. He went to the fishermen, the tax collectors, the prostitutes. The woman at the well is the biggest testament to how we're supposed to go and make disciples of nations. Period. End of story. I don't care what anybody else says. Woman at the well is the distinct moment. Why? Because Jesus did not judge that woman at all. He could have said, you're just a floozy and a harlot and, you're stupid because you can't keep a man. I'm out. Peace. Give me my water. I'm done. No,
yeah.
no. He loved her right where she was at. And he spoke to her with respect, with honor, with dignity. But he also didn't entertain her foolishness. He didn't tell her, no, your relationship is fine. Oh, he didn't say that. What did he tell her? Go and sin no more. Stop being foolish. That's not you. Your foolish actions aren't who you are. Stop walking in it
Mm.
because you know this is wrong. You see this is wrong. You understand this is wrong. Stop walking in foolishness. Plain and simple. We have to have that mindset. But we also have to have the wisdom to say, this particular well is dry.
Mm.
I don't need to be here waiting for no woman to show up at the well. Because if they're showing up at this well, trying to get water from a dry well, they ain't here for any nourishment. They ain't here for any growth, any healing. They're just here because they think this is where they ain't going to listen to anything else. So when it says don't cast your pearl to swine, I think that's what it means. Is if people are stuck in that and they're not willing to listen and they're not hungry for something more, because we got a lot. You said it yourself, man. If we were on fire, there'd be a revival in this nation. Do you realize how many people are so hungry for the truth right now? People our age and younger. People our age and younger are done with things. Now there's some that are louder than the others that are foolishness, 100% acting in foolishness. But there are those who are hungry for a change. There are those
Mm.
that go, I don't want to walk in my school bathroom and see somebody using a cat box. Okay? Like there are those that want something different. They want truth. They want reality. They want purpose. So why are we trying to be inclusive in our church in the sense of, oh, hey, just come on in. It's okay. Whatever your life is, it's fine. Da, da, da. No. Be like Jesus at the woman at the well. Meet them in that place. Tell them where they're messing up. Tell them where the foolishness is and say, that is not you.
Mm.
Why is this world spiraling? Because we're in an identity crisis. Israel wanted a king so they could have identity. America is trying to choose the next king. You can say queen, whatever, I don't care. Trying to choose the next royalty, and it's foolishness. Because we're trying to find an identity in it.
Ooh. That's good.
Our identity isn't who's in charge, who's in the Oval Office. Our identity is back where our nation was founded, just like back when Israel was founded. Let's take one moment here to say this. How did the nation of Israel get the name Israel?
Mm. Tell me.
Jacob. Jacob wrestled with the Lord all through the night.
All through the night.
Israel got its name from the tenacity of a man who desired to honor God.
Ooh.
The United States of America got its name from the tenacity of men that wanted the freedom to serve God and to have a country that they could be proud of, and they could have freedom in it, and they could have hope in it, and they could have purpose in it. Our identity is not whoever's in the Oval Office. Our identity is built on the backs of the tenacity of men that said, we will not back down, we will not yield, because as for me and my house, I will serve the Lord. One nation under God. And that's what we need to get back to. That's where we need to get our mindset at. That's where we need to get our hope and our purpose in, is the fact that this country was built on the back of tenacity. So how do we talk to our brothers and sisters? With love, with hope, and with tenacity. Period.
We have the love. Ooh, this
Mm-hmm.
can preach. We have the love. We have the hope. But I don't think many people have the tenacity.
No. No.
The
It's easy to
tenacity
walk with
to
a
get
crowd.
better. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say it's easy to walk with a crowd. You gotta have tenacity to walk alone. It's easy to say, "Oh, in this church we don't rock the boat." So the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and that's why they didn't walk with Jesus. It took some men with some grit, some women with some grit, because there are women that follow Jesus too. Some men and women with some grit, with some tenacity. And it wasn't because they were promised a kingdom. It was because they saw a truth and a hope that they never saw before. Listen, if you're only Christian because you're promised eternal life in heaven afterwards, that's okay. That's fine. It's a watered down gospel. It's not exactly what we were promised. It's not exactly what we were supposed to have. It's good for you. Good for you. You get to go to heaven. That's great. Awesome. I'm happy for you. It's wonderful. Fantastic. But if you hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, at the end of the day, then what's the point?
Mm, mm.
You ask me how I'm doing all this, how I'm getting through, and you kind of preface that question of how am I handling all this with the kidney stuff?
Right.
For one, I haven't started sweating blood yet. And for two,
Wow.
if he can say, if there's no other way, then your will be done. All right.
So, another word, wow. 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 Whoa. If this thing kills you, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Huh. But I ain't dying to this.
Oh
I
no.
got too much work to do. I got too many
Oh,
walls to build up. I got too many things to shore up. You think that this ain't gonna kill me. No, the devil's gonna look at it and go, dang it, we almost had him. We almost had him. We almost had his hope. We almost had his trust. We almost had his faith. We almost had his purpose. We almost had his drive. But guess what? Guess what? Here's the thing. My hope is not founded in what my body can do. My hope is founded in what my God can do. If you could take 12 men that should have by no account done anything in their life except for grab some fish and make some people angry with some taxes. If he could get those men, then he can change the world. The world for generations to come, centuries. The world. He can do whatever he wants with this mortal flesh. I am staying at 210 pounds when I can't eat. And I'm not losing muscle mass. I'm not losing anything. I've stayed at 210 for 2 weeks. Before that, I stayed at 215 for 3 weeks. That ain't me. That ain't me holding that weight. That's God holding that weight and saying, all right, we're going to hold on to this right now. We're going to keep you right here. You're not going to die. You're not going to suffer too much, but you're just going to suffer enough to know that I'm refining you and I'm tempering you in this. Because there is going to be a battle on the other side of this where there's going to be souls hungry for the kingdom. You say if we're on fire that there's going to be a revival in this country, brother. with what I'm going through right now, revival's coming. Regardless who's in the office, revival is coming. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. I know for a fact that my story doesn't end here. And I know for a fact that when God says, it is well with my soul, when Jesus said it is well, when that artist wrote that song, it is well with my soul, that is a place of strength and power and purpose. And listen, I've been the strongest dude in the room for most of my life.
Mm.
Mentally and physically, the strongest dude in the room most of my life. God's teaching me how to be spiritually the strongest man in the room for the rest of my life. So I'll leave with this. What are you training for? You training for World War III? You training for stuff to go off the rails? Are you training to suffer well? So that when you get to the end of that line, you step before your God, you say, Lord, I served you the best that I could. And he said, yeah, you did. Look behind you. And you look behind you, you see all these faces of the people that you touched, that you impacted, that you had the boldness to stand up and say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. You are the founder of my faith. You are the hope that I have. You are the one I put my trust in. No one can break what you have placed inside of me because you are God. Even when I fail you, even when I suffer, even when I fall into those temptations, whether it be anger, lust, pride, whatever you might be having going on in your life, I don't know, whatever addiction you might have, even when I fell in those things, you remained faithful, even when I was unfaithful, because you are seated on the throne and I am not. And you have called me out to these deep waters. And I spent too much time standing on the water, placing my hand on the side of the bow of the boat. But you know what? At one point, some point, somehow, some way, I took my hand off and I walked into the deeper waters because you are the reason for my faith. And when you do that, you wind up impacting all those people in your life. All those people that needed to hear a voice that said, you know what, that's not the way, but this is. That's not love, but this is. This is. And you look back and see all these faces. And then you look at him, the tears running down your cheeks, and he reaches out and he wipes a tear from your eye and he says, well done, my good and faithful servant.
My friend, you just reminded me of my own purpose.
You're doing it, man. With these pods, you're doing it. You're stepping out with intention. That's where the tenacity is. Stepping out with intention.
Mm. Pray us out, please.
All right. Father God, thank you for all that you're doing. I know that
Mhm.
you are faithful even when the winds and the waves are howling and screaming and it seems like I'm going to drown. I know that you are intentional about my life and therefore I'm going to be intentional about you.
Mm.
And I know my brother Christian will too. And anybody that is hearing this, I pray that they have the faith and the tenacity to say, it is well with my soul. That they step out in that faith. They step out onto the water. They let go of the bow of the boat and they start walking out into deep waters, knowing that you are there waiting for them and you will grab them if they start to sink. You will not let them drown in the deep. Father, I know that this country is in turmoil right now, but I also know that you are God. The Oval Office is just a throne of man, but you sit on the throne of the kingdom. You sit on the throne that has steadfast, sovereign power. You are love. You are truth. You are the reason why we have this faith inside of us. So, Lord, regardless of what happens in the polls, we trust you. Regardless of what happens in our nation, we hope in you. And regardless of what happens with our brothers and sisters to our right and to our left, we keep our faith in you because you are God. So, Lord, I pray that you just continue to anoint this podcast that my brother is doing. He's doing great work here. And also touch his finances so he doesn't have to work no more and he can just do this because I know that's what his heart desire is. Father, thank you for all that you do. And I pray that you anoint every heart and mind that hears this. In Jesus' name, amen.